Hi everyone. I thought this month that I'd do something a little bit different and talk a little bit about my book, Route 66 Dreams. It's been out for a couple months now, and it's been a few years since my last book, so it's the landscape has changed in so many ways of what I did for so long to promote the book and et cetera, that it feels like a much slower road, even though you wouldn't think that. You think we have a much quicker road because there's so much social media, so many things to do. But I think what's changed is there's so many ways to reach people, but you have to do all these different ways to reach people because people don't necessarily do one thing. But anyway, enough about that because it's really about the story and the inspiration behind this. And the interesting thing, I was just thinking before I sat down to film this video that I can't really say exactly that there was one piece of inspiration that got me started to seeing this whole picture of this book. It's a variety of things. I would say the first thing that probably happened, the biggest thing, was I really began to think about where our dreams are born. How do we become who we are? All those things that how do we get where we are, especially those of us who have big dreams and really want to make them come true. And so I've started thinking a lot about that. And for me, I've wanted to be a writer since I was 6. And the stories are there. I have stories that have been with me for a very long time that aren't finished, and stories that continue to come with me, characters in my head. um, I had somebody tell me, Gary Herons, if Gary's watching this, the Rio Rancho Observer newspaper, he said, when I told him there were characters living in my head, he said, I hope they're paying rent. And, some of them have been here a long time. They're lucky I haven't kicked them out, but I don't want to kick them out. I want to finish these stories. Then sometimes it's hard to let go. But my dad had taken a trip on Route 66 with a friend a couple years before my parents married. My parents were married in 63. And I know he had a convertible. And it's funny because I don't really know much beyond that. It was like, especially now that my parents are gone, there are a lot of questions I have, and they would tell me these things, but they didn't really stick. And so that is basically the crux of the story. There's two pieces to that. One is that's the crux of the story in the sense of that this family, the Danielson family, takes a trip on Route 66 from their hometown. I had to use Naperville. It was just easy. It's my hometown in Illinois, to Los Angeles and back, and it's what happens along the way. But it's about Jana, who's 14 at the time, which I know I was 14 in 1986, but it's not me. It's not my family. They have 3 girls, and about the parents, they're very different than we were, although there are some funny things that the bed jiggler is actually something that happened. We used to love those with the quarter, my sisters and I. And but Jenna's on this trip. She knows she wants to be a writer, and it's about her parents wanting to support her, about her trying to find her way, and with her 2 sisters as well, and what she sees and what she begins to think about, and her relationship, particularly with her father in this, as he opens up. And I had a friend tell me, and that for her, because I really kind of wondered, what if, because my dad didn't have that relationship with my dad. My dad was not that open, but I really began to think about, question it when the book came out. And then a friend said that when they were away on a vacation, that her father really opened up to her. So, but it's the 1980s. Things were different. We were different people. I mean, at the core, we're all still the same. We want the same things. But at the same time, life was different. And it was really important to me to capture what it was like in the 1980s, because I've read books and it's like, I didn't feel like the time at all. But I wanted people to read this, say, hey, this really felt like the 80s. These are the things we joked about. I went to the newspapers at the library, looked at what the stories were, in 1986. At that time, I looked at those specific dates, and that's reflected in the book as well, because I really just wanted to capture that, not just to be what I remember, but be also what actually happened. And so it's not a dramatic story in the sense that, oh, these awful things happen and everybody blows up. It's more a slow flowing slice of life on these 2 weeks of vacation and the things that happen. And just a fun story, a good read, whether you're at home in your backyard or you're on a beach or you're on a plane. No matter what you're doing this summer especially, I hope you'll take the time to read Route 66 Dreams. And always remember, there's always more at shellsummer.com, www.shellsummer, SUMMER.com. Thank you, everyone.